All right. Good sunny afternoon on Tuesday, the 20th. We're excited to be with you here on our Tuesday tune-up. My name's Andrew. I am a pastor here at Calvary Chapel, Lake Stevens. Thanks for tuning in. We had a pretty cool event over the weekend, Parents' Night Out. All of our parents were encouraged to come and drop their kids off for Bible teaching and fellowship, and we told our parents, go on a date, enjoy your time. They came back, we had some dessert, we went over some stuff in the scriptures, and that is what I'm excited to continue and pick up today. Our topic is restoring the hearts of your children and knowing what God's plan is for you with your family. Before we do that, I want to encourage you guys to come on out, all of you men, this Saturday to our Men's Legacy Breakfast at 7 a.m. Doug Hoyden's going to be speaking on biblical leadership. And tomorrow night is our Wednesday evening study. Come on out at 7. We have dinner, Bible study, worship. Shane's going to be cruising through the book of Esther. Keep going. All right. So on Saturday, Parents' Night event. Just been in the scriptures and trying to figure out and listening to teachings and trying to figure out what is God's plan for your family. And as we look at the scriptures from Genesis, when the first words to Adam and Eve were be fruitful and multiply, and then again after the flood, when everybody was wiped out, to Noah and his family, be fruitful and multiply. And then we see these promises about the greatest commandment, about loving God and teaching your kids these things, to love God with all your heart, as found in Deuteronomy chapter 6. And talking about them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. So knowing how do we connect our faith with the next generation and then the generation after that. Psalm 78 and verse 5 says, "For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel," this is God, "which he commanded our fathers, they should teach them to their children, that the generation to come might know, even the children yet to be born, that they may arise and tell them to their children, that they should put their confidence in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments." So knowing that God has done a great work in your life from salvation and bringing us from death to life, that eternal decision to follow him needs to get passed on to our kids. And thinking about the people of God and the works that God did by bringing them out of Egypt and slavery and blessing them, and as they followed him, showed up and provided for them, that was the message that needed to be continually conveyed to the next generation and the next generation. And so for us as parents, our goal, our purpose, is to connect our faith with our kids. And God's game plan is that he wants to reach the world through the generations of your family and my family, our families. So it gets better. And this is what I'm excited to see here in Malachi. The prophet, some of the very last prophetic words of the Old Testament. In chapter 4, in verse 5, it says, "Behold, I'm going to send to you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and terrible day of the Lord. He will restore the hearts of the fathers to their children and the hearts of the children to their fathers, so that I will not come and smite the land with a curse." 400 years went by before the Lord spoke to anyone. And knowing the summation of the Old Testament and God's prophetic word for Jesus coming, and for our hearts to be prepared, and us as parents to have this connection with our kids, it's so interesting to turn into the book of Luke, which accounts the birth of John the Baptist through a priest named Zacharias, and we see the mission that God had for him living this out. He was a righteous man in the sight of God. This is chapter 1 of Luke, talking about Zacharias, walking blamelessly in all the commandments and requirements of the Lord. But they had no children because Elizabeth was barren, and they were both advanced in years. So we got an older prophet and his wife not have any kids. First book of the New Testament, the Gospel according to Luke, introduction. We see the Lord coming for the first time in 400 years to speak to his people. It says, an angel of the Lord appeared to him standing to the right of the altar where he was working in the sanctuary. Zacharias was troubled when he saw the angel, and fear gripped him. The angel said to him, do not be afraid, Zacharias, for your petition has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you will name him John. John the Baptist preparing the way of the Lord, as we see at the ending of the prophetic word in Malachi. And then we see us coming in here. It says, he will turn many of the sons of Israel back to the Lord their God, and it is he who will go as a forerunner before him in the spirit and in power of Elijah, to turn the hearts and the fathers back to the children, and the disobedient to the attitude of the righteous, so as to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. This is what we're talking about, that through you, your kids, and your grandkids, this message of hope would be portrayed. And looking at these words here, and talking about this connection of the hearts of the fathers turning back to the children, and the children's hearts turning back to the Father, I can't help but see this in the inverse now with our culture. We have our kids go off to school or sporting events or even youth group. We come back and we're like, hey, how was it? Good. Or we're trying to connect. We're trying to talk to our children. It's like, how are you doing? How's life? And they just don't have an opportunity to share their hearts with us parents. It's just not there. And so that, in the midst of this whole thing, this is the message, is to, in the power of God's Spirit, to connect your heart to your children's hearts, turning your heart to theirs and their heart to yours through the power of the Spirit. We can advance this gospel, the gospel of Jesus, from our generation to the next generation. So how do we do that? Make your mission in life to turn your heart to your kids and their heart to yours through the power of prayer and the Holy Spirit, and to impress on them his love for them and help them to make the decision to follow Jesus with their lives and live for him, so that they would be able to eventually go home to their Father in heaven. It's not too late to do this. If your children are grown up and out of the house, you still have influence, you still have connection, you can still encourage them to soften their hearts to the gospel and to try to restore that connection to speak into their life. So that's what I have for you today. It's kind of a lot. I'm going to keep revisiting this. I'm so excited about families and kids and God's plan to reach the world through our children and their children. And how do we do that? We make it our goal, we make it our purpose to live out these prophetic words and the scriptures where it says that the hearts of the fathers would be restored to their children, and the hearts of their children be restored to their fathers. This trusting communal relationship of a loving father and son, that we could pass on the hope of the message of Christ and the salvation through belief in him to our kids, that they would do the same to their kids and to their kids and their kids, and through that change the world and ultimately be able to be in heaven with us for all of eternity. So there's a lot there, but I'm super excited about these scriptures. I'm going to keep diving in, keep tying it together, and Lord willing, in the future, Tuesday Tune-Up or whichever, we'll be talking about parenting and our kids and how to love on them and how to reach the world through them and our family.